My favorite way to couch in color is to lay back on my couch covered in a nice colorful quilt watching way too many crime shows. But today, I'm gonna show you my second favorite way to couch in color. And we're gonna be using our couching feet, the 19X Elite, and our Evolution Elite frame. Couching is when you take yarn, fiber, string, really anything, and lay it on a piece of fabric, and then you're stitching over it, and that will create fun dimension and texture to your quilting creations. It elevates your quilt. Here's one example of couching that I did. I laid out a solid piece of fabric, and then I went ahead and just decided to free motion whatever my heart desired. I started with this centerpiece, and as you can see, everything looks a little bit crowded. And that's because I decided to do a more intricate design using thicker yarn. That is a no-no, do not do that. As you can see with the rest of the example, when you use thicker yarn, you wanna do a larger pattern, and so that everything lies together neatly and it is all cohesive. When you're couching, you're gonna wanna set your machine to around 16 stitches per inch. It could be a little more, it could be a little less. What you're just wanting to do is make sure that the stitches are fairly close together so that it's really catching on that yarn, so that when you go around corners, everything's really tacked down. Let's talk about the different types of couching feet. So here we have 3 couching attachments that attach to this foot. And if you look at the holes, we have a large, medium, and small, and you're gonna choose the best attachment for the size of yarn or whatever fiber you're using. I'm using a thicker yarn, so I am using the larger attachment. And if you look right here, there is a hole, and that is where your yarn is gonna fit nicely into. So I'm just gonna place my yarn into there. And what that does is it keeps your yarn away from your needle so that your needle can just focus on stitching what is right in front of it. When you're hooking up the attachments, if you look on the foot, there is a black and a red notch. And then on your attachments, there's just a black notch. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna start with the red notch lined up with your black one from your attachment. You're gonna push down hard, and then you're just gonna twist it until both black notches face each other, and now you're ready to couch. So in this competition, our competitors are gonna choose 3 different colored threads to make a picture, and they're gonna start by drawing out their design. I used a chalk pencil, so I just did a simple design first. So first, what we're gonna do is we're gonna bring our machine over to our design, and I'm going to pull up my bobbin in the middle of one of my petals. I'm then gonna put the yarn on, and here's what you're gonna do. You're gonna just hook the yarn into your foot. And then be careful, don't stab yourself. I'm just gonna move the tip of my yarn. I'm just gonna pull it so that's right underneath that needle. Then you can go ahead and do a couple single stitches just to tack everything down. I like to move a little bit, tack everything down. And now here's the fun part. We are going to just follow our design. When you are using yarn, you need a lot of slack. And then as you're sewing, you also wanna do 14 to 16 stitches per inch. For the sake of this, I'm doing 14. The larger the yarn you're using, the less stitches per inch you can use. The smaller, the more. So I'm gonna hold this back, and I'm just gonna trace around my cute little flower, and I'm using cruise mode. We're making sure there's a lot of slack falling around. I am going to stop and cut this little guy off. Boop. Couching is really fun to do free motion. You can do a bunch of fun random designs. If you're doing if you're using automation, it can add some really fun texture to a quilt. I'm just adding some fun stuff. We're gonna go around. I'm gonna fill in the middle of my flowers with something later. I'm just gonna come over to this flower and do the same thing. I'm noticing So right now I'm noticing that this is getting a little tighter. So what I'm gonna do is just make sure to pull out a lot more of my thread. Not thread, it's yarn. Pull out some more of my yarn, and then we're gonna keep going. We got some pretty flowers. They make me so excited. They bring me joy. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna change colors, and I want my pink. We're gonna do pink for the center of our flowers. We're making sure the beginning of our yarn is right underneath the needle. We're gonna do a couple of single stitches. Tack it down, move it, tack it down. There we go. I'm just doing a couple, making sure it's getting in. And then we're gonna start quilting. And this, for the sake of my sanity, we're gonna cut the bobbin thread, and looks like it got a little bit caught. That's okay. The bottom thread and the top thread. I'm just gonna fill in the background of my pretty little design with some of this multicolor variegated thread. And we got our pretty picture couching in color.